Pull on up a chair. You're at Camp Video Games, y'all.
Well, hello there, and welcome to Camp Video Games. This is a podcast that reviews video games and their multimedia adaptations. I'm Junior Camp Counselor Sean, and with me is Junior Camp Counselor Josh.
Hello, campers. Welcome back. Look, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Don't eat the flowers in the woods. Just don't touch them. Last time it happened, I turned into a giant spiky ball. Unbeknownst to me, it terrified me. It almost killed my wife as she got slammed against the wall because I was a giant ball of spikes, and I don't like that. Please stop touching the flowers in the woods.
Oh, those called Wonder Flowers?
Yeah.
We're talking about Super Mario Brothers Wonder from 2023. This is all leading toward our fourth and final discussion on the Super Mario Brothers series. We started with the first 3 NES games. Then we talked about that sweet 1993 live action movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. And today we're talking Super Mario Brothers Wonder, all leading up to our big discussion on is it just called the Super Mario Brothers
Super Mario Brothers movie 2023, I guess.
Did this come out before or after the movie?
Oh, they came out within a few months of each other, but I think the movie was first. I'll double check, but we can just keep rolling.
Yeah.
here.
Josh, you've played more Super Mario Wonder than I have. I beat the game, but I assume you've beat it and then some.
I have played every last inch of Super Mario Brothers Wonder. First, before I talk about that, the movie came out in April, and Mario Wonder came out in October.
Okay, well, so we're doing this in a little reverse order, but who cares?
It makes sense for the way we've played.
That's
anyway, I'll do a quick review of my experience with Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I was highly anticipating it. I'm a 2D Mario boy.
Oh, before we get in, actually, do you know when they're going to release Super Mario Brothers Tutor?
You're just a butler just doing chores for some rich dick. Just like the complete opposite of this game.
Oh man,
you just live in a closet under the stairs.
Downton Abbey with Mario. I lost my penis in the war.
Anyways, so I was highly anticipating Mario Wonder. I had a blast with it. Like, I bought it release day. Which speaks to part of the fun of the game for me was playing it the weekend that it launched. That there was I don't know, I'll wait to talk about that because this is about like the online portion of the game and that as a feature. So I had a blast with that. And because it came out like around holiday time, I had visited both my sister's families, Thanksgiving and Christmas. So like one sister's family, we played the entire first world. So I replayed the introduction once with them. Then my other sister's family was like, I'm excited about Mario Wonder 2 and you have it on your Switch. Can we play it? I redid it. So and then I started playing it with my partner's daughter in February. So I replayed the intro again. And then she and I played the whole game for a second time. And then I replayed it again this week just to refresh my memory. So I've for a game that's 12-ish hours on the main story, right. I put in quite a bit of time, which is probably more like 20 to 30-ish.
Okay.
And I love every last inch of this delicious, adorable game.
So this is whenever I hear people talking about Super Mario Brothers Wonder, people are talking about it. Well, it always seems to be like this is Nintendo's redemption for the new Super Mario Brothers series. Like that, those did not seem to get. I think I played the Wii, the first Wii, like new Super Mario Brothers or whatever that was.
Well, this is part of the problem is they've been tinkering and re-releasing the same previous 2D Mario for, I want to say, going on like 15, 20 years now, before releasing Mario Wonder, with 2 Mario makers in between. So that is, I think, part of the hype behind this.
But like, this is, I mean, in terms of 2D platforming games, I think this is the best one I've ever played. And I'm not like trying to be like hyperbolic or like facetious about it. Like, it's just like, I don't know how you do much better than this with what the genre like demands.
Right. I think that is very well and succinctly said, because in our previous episode, I said this is tied as my favorite 2D Mario with like 3 in Super Mario World.
Yeah, because those are pretty much analogous.
Yeah. But I think those get outweighed by like nostalgia and like, oh, that's what I had when I was a kid. Whereas this is just like technical refinement and perfection, unlike anything I've seen in almost any video game.
Yeah. And here at Kent Video Games, we are not nostalgia man babies. We don't just cling on to things because they used to make us feel good. Although now that I think about our 8-part discussion on Final Fantasy VII, I'm actually and our 13-part discussion on the Legend of Zelda animated TV series, as we're both currently wearing Zelda t-shirts.
To be fair, this was just like this is $10 and I could use some t-shirts at Target purchase. It wasn't like, oh my God, a Zelda t-shirt.
I haven't uploaded anything to our Instagram in quite a while, but I think I'll just put this embarrassing photo I just took of us up there.
That is well said to say, like, a lot of my hype for this game was that the previews, trailers, you could just tell like there's something about this game that it's going to just feel really good to play.
Yeah.
And the physics of Mario movement is one of the like most important things about the genre and the series. And like, I don't know how to say enough good things about like this game and just how good it feels to move him in the world or whatever character you pick. I replayed it this week just to get some stream footage and refresh my memory, and like I just immediately was like, I feel like a kid in his playroom with his toys. You know, it's just so smooth, so accessible, and I don't know. I'm just trying not to say everything at once.
Well, when I'll be honest, when I first started playing the game, I didn't care for it. It was later at night, which I think also affects. We've talked about this before, where I'm more of an AM video gamer, whereas you're more of a PM video gamer. If I were to make a line between our different lifestyles, but when I started playing it, I was playing it at night, and I was just like, I'm so tired, and like, this game, it's so stimulating, it's like it's a spectacle for the eyes, the ears, and the brain, and it's so much different for me playing it in the morning, because that's my time to like really like give games a chance and to like look at them without like the weariness of the day on me. I'm kind of a wimp. I'm just like, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I'm tired. I don't want to do nothing.
Yeah, that's funny, because for me, video games is the thing that's like, when I'm tired and I don't want to do nothing, that's what I can do. It's sort of my version of sitting down to read, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, I've never been a good like marathon reader. It's very rare that like I can pick up a book that I can just sit with for like an hour or two. Like, reading for me is like 20 to 30 minutes to put me to sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas like video games are the time that I spend, that I think most people spend not reading. Nobody fucking reads in this country. Who am I kidding? Most people probably spend in the evening like, oh, I'm watching my stream show or whatever. Like that's where I spend.
I'm polishing my gun and watching the news.
Okay, again, a more accurate depiction of the country we live in than I just described. But like, yeah, most people I think probably sit down with like a streaming TV series in the evening, and for me, it's like an hour or two of a video game.
Sure.
And this game, it's just so pleasant.
It's a beautiful game. Josh, what's the plot of Super Mario Brothers Wonder?
Oh, who knows and who cares? No, I'm really bummed because I don't have any footage to show of it, but I think the way the plot is presented in a like intro level is very well done in this game. Especially if you have multiple people, because the way the game opens is Mario and all of his buddies are going next door to the Flower Kingdom.
Right. Not the Mushroom Kingdom.
To hang out.
The Flower Kingdom.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, theoretically would mean, is there also like the Marijuana Kingdom? The, what else do we got? What are
the Poppy Kingdom.
Oh, no.
Which this becomes in some ways, both of those.
The
But
Psilocybin Kingdom. Yeah.
so like there's this great opening level, which again I put some footage up for anybody watching on YouTube, but I don't have that level because it's very well done that all the characters are there running through it with you.
Yeah.
It does the same thing Mario's done since Mario 1, where it's just like everything is environmentally introduced to you that you will need as a tool for the entire game in this very easy introductory level. But then if you're playing with multiple people, instead of your friends just running behind you, they are taking control of the characters and you're all just jumping around, having a good time together in this just playground. And then you get to like, you're introduced to Prince Florian, this little caterpillar guy. Which doesn't, again, the plot doesn't really matter, but Bowser shows up and turns himself into a giant fortress castle of doom, and you learn that there's flowers in this world that can change everything, and you got to chase down Bowser. And that's it.
Yes.
Same as it ever was, you know?
So Prince Florian, in this game, there's so many new enemies / characters like introduced to the pantheon of Mario like cast. But Prince Florian, the way that he travels with Mario is he lives in your hat.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so Mario, if we were doing another live action movie, I would have Mario played by RFK Jr. because he's got a brain worm. Mario's got a bit of a brain worm here. Although I guess he's going to be busy having
me, Mario.
Yeah, let's go.
It's me, Mario. Me and my brain worm need to take the fluoride out of the water.
But hopefully he'll be busy doing a great job at his new government position.
We're recording this at a very fun time in American history. Anyway,
I sobered up to get here. It's been dark. Anywho, so Florian is the prince of the Flower Kingdom. We're not babies, okay?
We are dumb babies.
Prince Florian's the prince of the Flower Kingdom, and I played as Mario because this is his game, but you can play as like so many different characters.
Right.
Who did you play as? Did you play as Toad?
I'm a Blue Toad boy.
Blue Toad.
I've been a Blue Toad boy since Mario Maker. I think it comes from my affinity for Toad in Mario 2. Because he's
for
just
sure.
canonically, objectively the best character in that game.
Now I'm since I only played through as Mario, do the characters play differently as they do in Mario 2?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a question that if you know, leave it in the comments or give us money.
No, I mean,
patreon.com/campvideogames.
You should still give us money, but I know the answer to this question.
Yes.
What kind of professionals would we be if we didn't know this? Anyways, this is actually a great introduction to what I think is the number one selling point of this game is its accessibility and challenge so that people like me still enjoy playing it.
Yeah. It's not a walk through the park.
But it's also a wonderful introduction to Mario 2D platformers or whatever for young people. So the way the characters work is the roster of, let's just say, humanoid characters.
Yeah.
So like Mario, Luigi, the Toads, the princesses, they're just standard. The main, they have the main move set or whatever. They can use power-ups. Then you have all the Yoshis. So the difference with the Yoshis is they cannot use power-ups.
Okay.
They have the Yoshi float jump.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're... and he can jump just a little higher to make up for the fact that he can't use power-ups. But as I already mentioned, Yoshis can't get hit. So they can only die by falling in pits.
Oh, that rocks.
And then Nabbit can't get hit and can't get power-ups. I don't know if he has an advantage over the Yoshis. I forget.
Who's Nabbit?
Oh, Nabbit rules, dude. Nabbit's the little purple bunny guy on the end.
Okay.
He's just got a little money sack. He was introduced in one of the new Super Mario Brothers Wii U Deluxe, one of those upgrades. He was introduced.
Okay.
There's some sort of like side game he does. I just love Nabbit. He's just so stupid.
Yeah, Nabbit.
But so there's that as one level of accessibility that they introduced into the game. And so when I played it again with my partner's child, I refer to as the Chibis, she usually played as like one of the main characters. She didn't play as Yoshi or Nabbit. I also didn't mention you can jump on a Yoshi's back and ride them.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's like the one little holdover from the multiplayer of New Super Mario Brothers that I think was really bad was that you can like physically interact with each other.
Yeah.
So like you could bump into each other. Yeah, you could interfere and like bounce off each other's heads and screw each other over.
That'll ruin relationships.
Yeah, this is designed to be very cooperative and not competitive.
Yeah.
An excellent family game. Which I didn't realize until I really sat and played the game with an 8-year-old all the way through. Because I actually have buried in my content on my YouTube page, which is Carl's Manager. Subscribe to that and Camp Video Games if you want. But I did like a little 10-minute review of Super Mario Wonder after I beat it. And I was like, they have all this great accessibility, but like, I think you should challenge your kid to try it on their own. And then after I played it with a kid, I was like, oh no, this is way better. This is like, it just like was a way easier way to hold her attention as somebody with zero experience. That like, if she got stuck, another accessibility feature is if you get hit, you become a little like ghost and you can swim and you have about 5 seconds to catch up to either your teammate, which will pop you right back into the game instead of losing a life. Or if you have online, I don't know what their name for it, like online cooperative mode or whatever.
Yeah, they were really pushing that as you play through levels.
Yeah. Did you do it at all?
I am a lonely, isolated man.
Okay. So the online, it's you can turn it on and completely ignore it if you want, and there's just going to be like ghosts of other players in the background.
Yeah.
Or you can work cooperatively with them and
nice.
like keep pace together. And this is one of the beautiful things that happened like opening weekend when it's just flooded with players.
Yeah.
And everybody's discovering the levels for the first time. That like I would slow down and like stick with other players while like we were like just poking around and finding things. I don't know if you did the puzzle levels that suck, where it's just like find the random hidden brick somewhere.
Yeah, I did those.
Those were like so much easier with 3 other people running around and poking. And then like what would happen is if somebody found the coin you need or the secret thing, there's like you can hit X and it blasts one of 4 emojis or emoticons.
Yeah.
So people would do that to be like over here, over here, over here. And it was a lot of fun. So again, another layer of accessibility. And if you're a ghost, you can also run into on multiplayer online there. You can lay these little posts. Like, so if you get like to the end of a hard spot and you want to help other players in the future, you can leave this post sign that'll stay there.
Are those the standees?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't use those, so I wasn't sure what their function was.
Yeah, so you can leave a standee. Thanks for reminding me of the word. And it'll stay. I don't know how long it stays there, but like then other players in the future who play the level can swim to that standee, and that's also a rescue spot.
Cool.
And then what that does is it gives you like these social credit points, for lack of a better term. So like you have a ranking. Mine's pretty high. It's like 7,000 or 8,000 or something. So like you could come back to the game and see like, oh, how many points have I gotten? And the points don't do anything. It's purely just for fun, just to like, oh, this is how helpful of a player I am.
So, social credits. Does the Mushroom Kingdom have like a one Yoshi policy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And this is, I can't think of a game before Death Stranding that did use this system. Death Stranding came out in 2019. Yes, because it foretold COVID.
Kojima,
Hideo Kojima is the prophet of everything. He predicted everything.
We got to get around to a Metal Gear at some point.
Yeah, dude.
Once they make that great movie.
I'd play Metal Gear Solid 2 right now. But anyway, yeah, so in Death Stranding, it introduced this idea where if you put something helpful in the world, it stays there for other players on the server and they can like smash a like button.
Okay.
And then like that tells other players how useful that object was, and then it goes onto your score to like tell you how helpful you've been to other players. So it's all about encouraging cooperation, instead of competition.
That's an interesting new function. Like, it's social currency for video games.
Yeah, and Kojima was like big about this in Death Stranding.
Okay.
Like Death Stranding, like that's kind of the whole point of the game. That's a big part of the story and everything. It's not really interwoven into the story or theme. It's just, again, it's just beautiful accessibility design. I'll also note, because playing this with an 8-year-old who isn't, super familiar with platforming games yet, I kept trying to teach her, like, throughout the game, like, you want to hold the run button 80 to 90% of the time.
Yeah. Unless you're doing some precision like footwork, the run button is necessary.
And she just like was not getting that. But I also, like, it occurred to me, the actual, like, the base, like, get to the flagpole, like, goal of the game, I don't think ever requires it. Like,
interesting. So like a baby could just do it without having the guidance or the know-how of like how to maximize their efficiency on the screen.
Right. So like you can't get so there's a few different objectives of every level, which is get all 3 giant 10 purple coins.
Yes.
Hit the top of the flagpole, finish the level,
find the wonder flower.
Find the wonder flower and find the wonder seeds. So those are like the objectives to 100% every level.
And the only thing you need to do is the flagpole.
Yeah.
You need to hit the flagpole if you want to see the end of the game. It's so funny. I was like watching some other, YouTubers like play this game, and they're like, Super Mario Brothers Wonder review. No spoilers. I'm like, no spoilers? Like, gee, does Mario win at the end? It's like, what the fuck? But the Wonder Star is, I think, the most Wonder flower segment is, I think, the most interesting and most innovative and most like eye-catching part of this entire game. And if I understand like the development of this game right, is that like Nintendo said, go ahead, make the best game you can. There are no deadlines. There is no prerequisites necessarily. It's just like, have at it. Make the best 2D Mario game you can make. Is that about the gist? You've told me about it a little bit.
Yeah, that's the general consensus. I was trying to like do further like development history study to see, like, there's not really a lot more info than that out there, than like, yes, they were given all the time in the world. And the idea of the wonder flowers was like, instead of leaving the level to go somewhere else where sort of like the magic happens the way it does in other Mario games with going in pipes, they were like, what if we just transform the level? And then they were like, everybody just give us weird ideas how to transform levels.
That's right. That seems to be the Wonder Flower is the justification for the huge deviation from the standard like gameplay. Because if you haven't played Super Mario Brothers Wonder, like the Wonder Flower is in a visual sense, it turns the game into an actual mushroom trip. Like the colors, there's trails, like it's all very, very psychedelic. But then whenever you hit the Wonder Flower, the game's going to completely change in a way. Either, I mean, there's so many ways. Every level has a different, like,
there's very little repetition, which is just mind-boggling for a 2D platform series 40 years deep at this point.
One of the more memorable Wonder Flower like events that I can recollect is you're going through a level and there's all this green slime everywhere, and it's like Mario moves through it really slowly, and it's just kind of, it's like you're walking through honey, and you hit the Wonder Flower, and then you turn into a slime ball. I forget what the enemy's name was, dude. But it was one of those cute little guys. Yeah, I almost called him a Blumpkin. I know that's not it. I know that's not it.
I don't think that's it, but yeah.
but you turn into a slime monster, and then you're just like, you can like zip through it, and then you can cling to walls, and it's just like, it's such a fun deviation from what, just going wahoo, yeah, let's go. And I think that's where the developers of this game were just like able to really flex and to like show their like diversity in terms of like what type of ideas are going on, not just on the whiteboard, but in the game.
Yeah. Well, and I think they spent a lot of time on the whiteboard, throwing ideas at the wall, and just until 60 or so finally really stuck. I just want, the slime level was one of the ones that, again, playing with an 8-year-old, like there were certain moments of this game where she would just be hooting and hollering.
Yeah.
And anybody with kids will probably understand, like, she's a slime kid. Okay. Slime kids are just a thing these days. Okay. Like, kids who are just obsessed with slime.
So out of touch.
And so, like, when she was like, oh my gosh, I get to be a slime, she just lost her mind.
Oh, no. That rocks.
That was one. My favorite is there's, I think it's the magma world, where you're going through this level where these big circular spinning, like, fossils of dragon bones.
Yes, dude. Awesome.
And then... like, eventually you get the Wonder Flower, and one of them comes to life as this just like the cutest, happiest, like, psychedelic trip dragon.
It's like a Yoshi Chinese dragon.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a Chinese dragon with Yoshi's face.
And he gives you a ride, and he's just like looping around, and you got to stay on him.
So fun.
The first time I played it, my memory is like I was stone cold sober, but I'm just screaming at the screen going, guys, I'm so high right now. I'm so high riding this dragon.
Hell yes.
It's awesome.
Cue the never-ending story music.
And it's like towards the end of the game, so you've seen like, you're like, there's no way they have any tricks left up their sleeve. And then you ride this goddamn dragon. Oh my God, it's so good. I don't know. It's such a good
game. Okay. The plot of Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Bowser is back at it, except this time he's not kidnapping Princess Peach, because Princess Peach is a playable character. And I was thinking about that in Super Mario Brothers 2, where Peach is the first time a playable character. That plot is not Bowser-centric at all, is it?
No, it's completely devoid. Because
and it's a dream.
Yeah.
Spoiler. Sorry, I should say.
Oh, no.
Spoiler alert for Super Mario Brothers 2. But in this case, yeah. So he's occupying the Flower Kingdom and turning all of their high-end real estate into his face.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I never really understood, like, what's the problem? What? Like, he's just sitting in the middle of the place. He's not really doing much harm from what I could tell.
As you go through the different worlds, because what was there, 6 worlds altogether, I think?
6 worlds and then the special world.
Yeah.
The world for dads.
And I remember, like, in the desert world, the Koopas are hogging all the water. So they are appropriating the natural resources of their environments.
Okay.
And that's why the Flower Kingdom is, they're not just saying like, we got to gentrify these fucking lizards out of here, man. Like it's more just about, the fact that they're hoarding the wealth.
Yeah. To be fair, I think I barely paid attention to those details when I played the full game the first time over a year ago. So
yeah.
So maybe I did miss some stuff. I mean, this is like my one complaint about Nintendo games is, like, they can be overly verbose, unnecessarily verbose about within, like, their lack of story. It's like they're so good at, like, doing it all through the environment like to motivate you that I don't need more.
Sure.
Like just shut up. Like, shut up and let me play.
And the game's good at that. It doesn't take away control for too long in between levels, and and even the movement between levels is all about just like stimulate.
Right. It's admittedly better than like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in that regard, because those games, even though those I do actually really like the story told in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the actual, and I like the little side stories with all the NPCs and stuff. Like they can just drone on and on and on.
Oh, for sure.
And in this, it's like you get the prince bugging you every time you get like you open something up or like whatever, and telling you like, oh, we should go to this new thing we just opened. We should try this new thing we just got. And it's like, yeah, I know. Like, but he doesn't drone on the way they do in like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
And campers, if you want to hear something like 30 hours worth of Zelda discussions, go back in our playlist here and give it a listen. We have talked at length about Breath of the Wild and the Legend of Zelda animated TV series for some reason.
We sure did. We were young podcasters at the time. We didn't know you don't have to watch an entire animated series that isn't good to cover it.
Just two young bucks.
Anyways,
young, dumb, full cum, baby.
Am I anymore? Anyways, yeah.
Old, bold, and covered in mold.
That's better. There's the other thing. I kind of want to keep hitting on the like accessibility factor.
Yeah, cool.
Is the badges are a concept that is introduced to this, where instead of saying Mario has like this one new power that you get through the whole game, now they've introduced badges that add powers that are like, some of them are pulled from other games. Like there's the one where you duck for a second or two and then your jump goes higher from Mario 2.
Yeah, that's classic Peach, or I think that was Peach who did that.
That was anybody can do it in Mario 2.
Oh shit, I didn't do all that.
I think they had kind of like all the Mario 2 powers. You have the run jump where you float a little.
Mm-hmm.
That's a badge. I think the Peach's float jump might be one. I don't remember. The reason I don't remember is because 99% of the time I use the parachute cap. Which is
that's a great skill.
It's a little broken. It feels like the canonical. If there were one skill to rule this game, it should be the parachute cap.
Sure.
It has like this like borders on a bug where like if you are falling out of a pit, you can just keep jumping and then floating back and gain a little bit more height to eventually get yourself out.
Yeah,
without dying.
It's so funny because this is like it broaches on like Super Smash Brothers like.
Oh, interesting.
Strategies.
Yeah, of like saving yourself.
Yeah. You know, because like, I mean.
And getting more airtime.
In terms of. Interesting. Okay, so the way that Mario can die in like, you know, the original Mario Brothers, like he can, you know, get hit by an enemy, get hit by an obstacle, or he can fall down a bottomless pit, which is, that's your method of elimination in Super Smash Brothers, right? Is to either, well, it's like you have to hurt them enough so that you can then knock them out of the arena, where they then essentially fly off Team Rocket style.
Yeah, blasting off again.
But I wonder, if this is a weird little side tangent, but like, were there other video games that introduced the idea of like bottomless pits before the Super Mario Brothers?
Pitfall?
As like a Pitfall. Pitfall
I've never played Pitfall.
They were like, you would see the bottom.
Yeah,
I believe. I've never beat Pitfall. I've watched a speed run of Pitfall. That was actually kind of interesting. But that's the first one that should have come to mind for me. Yeah. Infinite hole.
I think Mario sort of standardized the concept of bottomless pits as a means to failure in 2D platformers.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
The badges are the best addition to this game. I thought that they because I had fun playing with them and like giving different ones a chance. And there were some stages where there was an obvious strategic choice. Like any of the underwater levels, you want to do the dolphin rush.
Yeah.
And I also just tended to use the floating cap because that just strategically made sense a lot of the time. But the other ones that I thought were neat were like you could one of the badges is you'll just always start with at least a mushroom, and I thought that was a very kind one because as playing through as Mario, you know, the classic start off very teensy boy, and then he gets nice and big, and then he can get a power up. And if you're starting off teensy every time, that's a little, you know, you're a little kneecapped there, and it really hinders your ability. But that badge was just like, hey, it's like a freebie basically, which I thought was very kind of the game.
If you like look at the badges in the game, there's like 3 categories.
Oh, cool.
There's the first category are ones that are like, these are different tools to like manipulate Mario's movement style in a mostly beneficial way. Then there's like a middle category of blue ones that are all like boons to help and accessibility for like less experienced players.
Yeah.
And then there's the third category. I forget what they look like, but those are all to add more difficulty. So like you can get one that turns Mario into basically like a spring.
Oh, cool.
Where he's just constantly bouncing.
So it's really just like fucking with the physics and like lets you do. The one I disliked the most, I did not like the vine that you shoot out like a grappling hook. I thought that was very hard to control.
The bionic commando.
Oh my god, good pull.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, I didn't care for that one. That was one that I got it and then I immediately like unequipped it because it did not make sense to me. The physics of that one were a little janky.
Yeah, and this may be a good opportunity to talk about the inspirations for level design in this game. I've been saying like since the first day I was playing it, like it's fascinating the degree to which it seems to me very obvious that they did like the Wonder Flower thing was like, here's the very new thing we're going to introduce that no one's seen before. But the actual level design was just them like scouring Mario Maker and just seeing like
crowdsourcing.
What new innovative things did people do with the tools that we've already created?
Sure.
And then implementing them in a more refined setting. There's I'm going to pull up this one just because this is a very shoot. Anyway, I pulled up on the video. There's like this little puzzle of like these Koopa Troopas are going back and forth between this spring that you have 3 static shells on. You can bounce the shells up to hit the Koopa Troopas. Like that's a very Mario Maker puzzle.
Sure.
That I've seen people do where they took the tools for things they weren't initially designed for and came up with something new you'd never seen in a Mario game. There's like the music box levels. Like a lot of the freebie levels are very Mario Maker. So there's like these levels where you have to like collect coins and there's these music boxes you can grab, and then like they're just very music oriented.
Yeah.
And if you go to like the top Mario Maker levels at any given moment, it's mostly levels where I don't know how to begin to describe how you do this in Mario Maker. I very loosely understand it, but like you can make a level so that as Mario's running along, things are happening on the screen above him that are playing notes with different like quote unquote instruments to like, and people make like very popular songs so that like all you do is you run along and it plays the song with Mario sound effects.
That's like I feel like it's in the Netherlands or maybe Japan, very different places, but they have like the highways. If you drive at the speed limit, there's like grooves in the road that'll play a song for you at like the appropriate, you know, pitch and rhythm.
Yeah, it's the loosely the same concept that Mario Maker does.
Now, this what you're saying about this like crowdsourcing of level design. I recently just read Doom Guy, the autobiography of John Romero.
Interesting.
And he talks about like recruiting some of the top Doom WAD makers to help in the development of like projects, you know, because he released Sigil in, I want to say it was in 2018, but in that case, like like where they were like, hey, we need some good ideas for this, and John Romero did a majority of the work. I might be misremembering the details, but I know that's not new what Nintendo did, where they or at least I wonder, because there's all this controversy about them like shutting down the Mario Maker like servers after a while, right? Am I remembering, or or was it what was the game?
Mario Maker 2 is definitely still up. I still jump in there sometimes.
Mario 35 or what was
Mario 35 is the online battle royale that I always bitch about.
Never mind.
Shut down.
I was just going to accuse Nintendo of like, oh, they made this Mario Maker game. They got all these great ideas, and then they just made a new game using those ideas. But I know that's not the case. I like to accuse people of horrible things.
No, Mario Maker 2 is still very, very much active and alive. But on this same tangent, the other like big inspiration that I saw in the game that's really interesting is Celeste. Did you ever play Celeste?
No.
Celeste is one of the best 2D platformers of all time, and I'm pretty sure it began as like a game jam project where you have a short period of time to like develop a game. And I want to say it's just like a group of like young Canadian, like very indie developers, and just they did such a good job that it just blew up. So like they give you like some of the main Celeste powers in this game. Like one of the badges is just straight up like one of the two main powers you have in Celeste. So in Celeste you can you have three. You can dash, you can air dash, and then you can double wall jump straight up.
Okay.
So one of the badges in Mario Wonder is the wall jump, where you're sliding on the wall and you can jump one more time before you jump away from it.
God, do you remember when Mega Man X introduced that? Like,
yeah.
when
that was like Mega Man X1 being able to slide on the wall was like already like, okay, this is pretty darn cool.
It's so cool.
And now it's like that's just canon 2D Mario. But then Mega Man X2 adding the air dash was like,
yeah.
What, dude? Blew my mind. I played a lot of Mega Man X2, and that was a big component of it.
I played more Mega Man Classic, but let's get back to Mario.
Yeah. Anyways, so you had the wall jump from Celeste. There's a level that is like so directly out of Celeste, it like borders on copyright infringement. I don't know if I'll be able to find it in my footage. Oh, I think I did actually. There's
with this like creeping like it like universe.
Yeah, this
fluid?
creeping void stuff. That's directly from Celeste. Like 1-to-1 copy.
Okie dokie.
And then
okie dokie.
And then there's later in the same level. I'm gonna leave the footage up in case we're still talking about when I get there. But this like Mario like void ghost thing comes, and what it does is it follows your exact path a few seconds behind you, and then the idea is the level design is like forcing you to retrace your steps so that you'll accidentally run into it as it's chasing your path. That is like the main boss fight, like repetitive boss fight in Celeste is that there's like this like void ghost thing that does that exact same thing.
Interesting.
And I don't hate it, but I will say like if like development ideas are like a copyrightable thing, it voids on it touches on infringement.
It's so funny with how litigious Nintendo is. They're like do something.
Yeah.
Do something, Celeste. What are you?
Yeah. Bunch of dumbass kids who only sold their video game for like $5. You didn't make enough money to sue us. You idiots.
Nintendo is still selling like games that they released for the Wii U for $60 on their eShop.
It's
like
crazy.
They're monsters. They're absolutely titans of industry.
Yeah.
And they're like brutal capitalists.
I've discussed this part of this game multiple times, but this is the first time I've been like, yeah, maybe it is a little bad that they did it this blatantly. But it is very clear that like you could call it stealing, you could call it like they did their research,
Yeah.
of like what works really well in 2D platformers. For YouTube viewers, I put up the part with the follow chase ghost thing. If you play Celeste, you'll see this exact same enemy. It's even like looks the same.
That's a little disappointing, honestly. I didn't know that about I didn't understand that they were a bit ripping off but because in general I would like really celebrate this game for just its innovation and like its creativity and like the joy of movement and all the things that you want out of a game like this. I mean, this is a 2D platformer that costs was this one 70, 60? I bought it used.
No, this is 60.
60. I bought it used for $55.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You know, games this popular, their used cost doesn't go down much, but that's still a lot.
Yeah. Okay, you mentioned a repetitive boss fight. The Bowser Jr. The Bowser Jr. boss fights that you have. I thought they were the first one that I really remember, and it might have been the first fight with him, is it changes the size of the characters where Bowser Jr. will become gigantic and Mario becomes super tiny, and then vice versa. And I didn't like before I played the game, I did absolutely no research into it. I was going in completely blind. I hadn't even watched the trailers or anything for this game. And I was just like, I felt immediately, I was like, oh, I am happy with this purchase. Like when that started up, just like, I love when you can control a gigantic character on the screen. It's such a satisfying thing. Thinking of it, I've been doing some research for Camp Video Games. Looking at the Battletoads series, which I am not going to make us play through. But
I beat that turbo tunnel with lots of save states.
Yeah. I was playing what was it called? Battle Maniacs. The Switch SNES Online has some Battletoads content recently.
It's pretty bad.
It's very bad. But the Toads, gigantic sprites. I love having a big character on the screen. That's really what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Playing through these Bowser Jr. fights, they're always doing something a little bit different or wildly different. Honestly, it never feels like the game is like repeating itself for the format's sake. It's always there's like, what's the fun idea? Let's make it fun. That seems to be the end goal. Where I don't know if that spirit really resonated with like the earlier new Super Mario Brothers stuff, where those seem to be a lot more cut and paste, just more formulaic. And
I did not play much of that game, in spite of the fact that it's received 4 or 5 different releases that again are still $60 retail.
That's right.
I think I played a few levels and I was like, the physics aren't as good. There's nothing that innovative here. The multiplayer, like you bounce off each other, was frustrating. I just did not get that into that one. And this is quite the redemption to me. I think I mostly agree with your thing about like the Bowser Jr. fights. They try to keep it fresh by using like either things from that world that you've just seen and doing them in different ways. Like I think there's one where there's just like floating water globs that you can jump into. The thing that they don't do is because I've seen people critique saying the game has repetitive boss fights, which I think I half agree with. There's something about it because like it's Bowser Jr. every time going like, wait till you see my dad's next wonder power.
Sure. Yeah, and the wonder power, he has this like his like Power Ranger transformation.
Yeah, and he does the same transformation every time.
That is true.
Like in Mario 3, you had the Koopa Kids, and there was like every castle you're going to discover a new like weirdly transformed king. You're going to meet a new Koopa Kid, and then you're going to see the king transform back into a human. Sometimes you're going to see his nipples protruding like Barney Frank.
Sure.
That one's just for me. Anyway, like there's just like little details that Mario 3 had, whereas this feels like the mini bosses of that game, where it's like, oh, another boom boom. Oh, this time you put blocks in. Oh, this time it has wings, but it's still just another boom boom. I got to hit 3 times. So that's where I could see there's some fair critique of repetition of boss fights. But I think it gets superseded by the fact that like every level is some new enemy obstacle you've never seen before. Somehow, I don't know how they did it.
Yeah. I think I heard that there's like something like 35 new enemies added to this game, which is why, I mean, like, you think Mario, you think Goombas and Koopas and Shy Guys, and that's really what comes to my mind. Piranha Plants. But they've really added to it, and I mean, to their credit, they all fit. Nothing's like glaringly like out of place, or they're all using the same design theories, I guess.
Yeah, and like you've sort of mentioned like the moments where the game like clicked for you or whatever, which is like I kind of felt like right away like, okay, they nailed it.
Yeah,
but the first level, and I think a lot of people maybe will feel the same, where I was just like, oh my God, they put their whole ass into this thing, is the Piranhas on Parade level.
Oh my God, that's the second level, I believe.
It is wild, the level of attention to detail that like goes into this level, where the Wonder Flower transformation turns the level into an auto scroller, and there are piranhas popping out in time and singing, and there's so many little details happening in the soundtrack, where one is there's these music blocks that you can run across, and normally I think they'll just kind of like run a scale in the same key as the background music.
That's right.
And in this, they will alter to match the song that's playing in the background. So they'll either like harmonize or just play along with the melody as you step on them. So if you run back and forth on them really fast, which I've definitely done.
Oh yeah.
It'll like just, the music blocks are just playing the song for you. And then as the piranhas are popping out, they all have a separate part of like the melody or harmony they're singing. And if you shoot one down or like hit one, that part disappears from the like multi-track arrangement of the song. It's mind blowing.
It's that kind of
like you did not
effect.
have to do this.
Yeah.
When
video games introduce a sense of cause and effect that has like real ramification, it is so delightful.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so satisfyingly accomplished, because like the music, the soundscape, like everything in this game is just like so polished.
Yeah.
There's not a lick of amateurity in this. There's just like, I mean, this is I heard that like Koji Kondo was even like giving ideas to the game for this one, which is like they've got the old masters like showing them how it's done.
Which
like,
for any complete rube out there is Koji Kondo's the composer of the music. Usually that's all he does, but we're saying like he was pitching like level ideas for this, because they were like all hands on deck.
Well, because there's musical aspects to the levels, and I wouldn't be surprised if that Piranha Parade was like one of Koji's ideas. I don't know.
We'll
get him on the show.
It's an amazing level of attention to detail, where like the average like 8 to 15-year-old, 16-year-old like demographic, like the target demo of the game, first and foremost, they're not gonna go, wow, when I defeated that piranha, that music track dropped from the arrangement, but like they're internally noticing like there's something special happening here, if that makes any sense.
When you take a life, you silence it forever.
Like it's just like a lot of details that like these are the fine touches that make a Nintendo mainline Mario different than most other video games, in my opinion.
Yeah. This is Mario saying, "I'm still the best."
Yeah. Just like doing like a touchdown victory dance on like the rest of AAA video games, where like, I'm a brooding old man in a photorealistic sad world, and doing the same Ubisoft tower opening over and over again. And they're like, no, actually fun is still fun.
Yeah. This is, I mean, it's almost like the Nintendo is doubling down on their like, no, like we're not making the most graphically like superior games. We are making the funnest games. We are making the most like relatable games.
Yeah.
In some
it's
ways.
very much like that meme from the Olympics of the shooters. There was like the Korean lady who has all these gadgets and stuff on, and Nintendo's just the guy eyeballing it.
I think the Turkish guy. He's like, he looks like he just like came from the bar.
Yeah, they're like, we don't need all this high tech nonsense. We can we can make a beautiful, perfectly refined game run on our little toaster that could. And it's fine. We don't need to put out a Switch 2 yet, which they definitely do. But
they do. And I'm glad to hear that the Switch 2 will be backward compatible.
Yeah, that's the only thing I think we know about it. That like just came out in the last week or two here in late 2024 as we record this. They still have nothing else on it. Don't believe any rumors you see. Anyways, let's talk about the flowers in the room. What are your feeling on the talking flowers?
Oh, love them.
Okay, so this is the most, I don't know, like thing in reviews that I've watched. This is like the thing people poo-poo the most about the game. If there's one critique people make, they're like, I don't understand the talking flowers.
Oh no, that's just like, so Nintendo sees that like, oh, kids these days, they love the minions. They love all these cute little characters. And like, this is Nintendo just like, introducing these small little guys. They're cute. They're completely inconsequential to the story or the gameplay. They don't interfere. They just, sometimes they comment on things that are going on. I like they have this like fixation and they're like, what does the ocean taste like? And it's just like, you'll die if you drink the salt water, flower. Don't do it.
They do have this like vaguely like stoner curiosity about the world around them, which is really interesting.
They're great.
That's interesting. You were sort of my stand-in for like internet reviewers, as the person on this show who is not around children much. Because I
by choice,
and this
not
is,
because the court said so.
Thank you for that clarification. I apologize for setting you up as such. Because I get really frustrated with like game criticism. Like, I understand the nature of it coming from like mostly 20 to 40 something men.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, yeah, a child is a little too dumb to put together a thoughtful critique. But at the same time, like the target demo for so many games are children and teenagers.
Yeah.
That like, no, I've never seen a critic who does a good job of assessing, is this game valuable and good for the target demo?
Sure.
They're always like, so a lot of reviews I saw of this, like very mainstream stuff. I'm not going to name names because it's been like a year, so I don't remember exactly who I saw making these critiques. They were like, the flowers are so dumb and distracting and annoying. And I'm like, yeah, but did you play with an 8-year-old next to you who talked back to them as if they were her friends? Like,
I was talking to them.
Like, do you have zero whimsy in your life?
That's the right word, is whimsy.
It's so fun. It's like, and like, I don't know, their voice is like we're saying, it's just like the right blend of like sort of like stoner curiosity and friendliness.
Yeah.
That like, I love it. I don't care. It does not bother me. And if it did, I'm pretty sure you can just turn it off.
Oh, really? You can shut them up?
I think you could turn the audio track of them off. I know you can change the language, but
it's fun. Sometimes they give you clues.
Yeah. Like I literally, again, like the Chibis I was playing with, it would just like talk back to them sometime or be like, oh, that poor guy, we got to help him.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah.
Like I just, this again, it's like, this is a wider critique of gaming journalism for me, of like, what if it's just not for you? Are you able to put yourself in like the eyes of somebody else experiencing this? Which gleans over just a little bit into like people complaining about like, oh, it's woke because there's a woman in it. It's woke because there's a person of color in it. Where it's like, you ever think about like what about people who do look like that getting to play this game
but
and how they feel?
Like, I have only a worldview that centers around my interpretation of it.
So just, you know, if you're somebody who does video game content or critique, just think about that in the future. I don't know, just throwing that out there.
Yeah. There's always a target demo for the games. Like, they're not just saying, I hope everyone likes this. Kurt Vonnegut said, if you try to please or whatever, if you open yourself up to everyone, you'll catch a cold.
Yeah, I always say some version of that. Like, you try to make your audience so large that it ends up being no one.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party.
Oh.
Bingo. Anyway.
No, where are all those left centrists?
This is a center left podcast. Anyways,
wonder what Jill Stein's up to right now.
But you also like, this is like counterfactual to what we just said. Like, this game does manage to kind of be for everybody.
Yeah.
Mainly now I'm talking about the special world. Did you play any of the special world?
I played a little
levels?
bit, but when I saw that it wasn't necessary, I stopped.
Okay, that's understandable. That's fair. If you're a real Mario head and you found the rest of the game too easy, the special world is for you.
Yeah. No, they're extremely challenging. I played like 2 or 3 of them, and I was like, oh, that took as long as it usually takes me to do like 3 levels, because I kept having to retry. And like, I feel like I'm a pretty good platform gamer. Like, I would like to believe that I'm not just your everyday Dick and Sue or Sally, or I ain't that.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of difficulty with the special levels that I tried.
Do you remember which ones you played?
Not at all.
So most people will play I forget the name of it, but it's like a rhythm game or like rhythm level. Like you have to, like, the walls are appearing and disappearing with the music. That is very deliberately counting the beat for you. And it speeds up. The tempo speeds up as you go. And you have to do a lot of like precision wall jumps to do it.
Yeah.
So, and it's really well done that it's there for people like me who know how to like find every secret, and want to feel that challenge. But the 8-year-old playing it with me, is not going to like hit a wall because they're stuck on too difficult a level. You can just go try it and leave it if you don't like it. And they're really well designed because they, well, I won't go too far into it, but some of it, like that level in particular I was just describing, that is one that feels very Mario Maker to me. It's just like precision. You have to do it to the second jumping. And if you miss one, you're dead.
Yeah. I catch a lot of YouTube shorts of those Mario Maker levels.
Yeah,
where
that's a very Mario Maker thing.
It's so intricate. And it's like watching a bullet hell game.
Yeah.
Like where the amount of things going on the screen, it's a little overwhelming if you're not accustomed to that type of stimulation.
Yeah.
It's like literally like, this is like, they're like, oh, so you've tried opium, but have you ever heard of black tar heroin?
Yeah. And like the hardcore, like Mario speedrunners and like people just like difficult Mario levels, like they refer to those as Kaizo levels.
Yeah.
After the question mark block things. Those are like the to the pixel precision levels that people make.
Yes. Which, if that brings you joy, God bless.
And the nice thing is Nintendo, like, they found the balance of like understanding that audience exists, but it's like 0.1% of the player population.
Yeah.
And they did a good job splitting the difference for like people like me who are like, I play a lot of Mario, you know? And like on the YouTube version of the show, like right now I have the spoiler alert, the very hardest level in the game on screen. And this is me replaying it. The first time I played it, it took about 45 minutes for me to beat it on my own. And then this time, I don't know if the footage will come up, but I turned on the multiplayer, and eventually somebody whose social score, like it was like a Japanese player whose social score or whatever, it was like 9999999 came in, who was like, they are not gonna miss a beat on this. And like it was me, them, and 2 other people, and I was just like, whatever, I'm not trying that hard right now. So I just keep falling and turning into a ghost, and I'm like, this guy's got me, you know?
Yeah.
And just like kept catching up to that guy and like recovering, which is just such a, I don't know, it's just like a fun thing that's like, even in designing that system, like, did they have that in mind of like, oh yeah, like a really expert player will be able to guide. It's on screen right now. You can see the person whose score is 9999999.
What character are they playing as?
I think Toadette. They're not on screen right now. So, but yeah, like me and the other people, we just keep falling in, and Toadette there just keeps grabbing us and saving us. Because I'm being lazy. The other guy's maybe not that good, but it's a lot of fun. But anyway, loved the special levels. I was saying I would love like a DLC for this game that introduces a bunch more of like the more like whimsical levels that aren't that hard, that like again, the 8-year-olds are like, wow, this is so fun. Look at the magic. And then like a handful more of these for people like me who are like, I just want more like expertly designed, very challenging levels from Nintendo. Like you could do that as 2 separate DLCs and I'd probably buy both of them. But they won't do that. This game's already pretty well refined. So
the rhythm,
I had my fun.
The rhythm aspects of this game that really like comes through with the Bowser fight. I don't know how much more there is to talk about like other aspects of gameplay or anything else, but like so when you approach the final world, like you've been collecting these, they're called royal seeds, and they are used to destroy the piranha plant dragons that are circling Bowser's warship.
Well, it is Bowser.
It's Bowser's,
and it's his castle, and it's his warship.
Yeah. And so you've collected all these royal seeds, and then you're approaching Bowser's kingdom, and it turns into a concert that Bowser's putting on for his troop. This part of the game filled me with a lot of sadness, like seeing Bowser as an actual dictator, like with his minions that he's like got in this like fascist like concert that he's putting on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
everybody have a good time.
I know. He's like, and next is Miley Cyrus. And like, it just made me feel really icky about like living in society. I don't know. It kind of triggered this like anti-Mario feeling where I was just like, Bowser's a really bad guy. Like, I've never felt that way. I've always been like, hell yeah, big dog. And I don't know. But so you're approaching Bowser's kingdom, and everything starts getting like way more musical emphasis, and there's a part that like there's a part of me that wants to like re-listen to this soundtrack without watching what's going on screen, but I don't think that would work for me because I only really enjoyed the music for this in the way that I like tend to really like a lot of Koji Kondo's music is I don't know if he did that full soundtrack for this, but
yeah, I'd have to double check.
The way I like Nintendo Mario music, I'll just say Nintendo music specifically. It only really works for me in conjunction with the visuals. Like,
interesting. Yeah. Like
I don't want to listen to Dark Side of the Moon anymore, but I do want to watch Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's well said. I think the main theme of this game is very, very well like fits within the pantheon of Mario music earworms. That ba da 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 da.
Yeah.
Ba 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 da ba da. And it's uses a leitmotif throughout the whole game. You hear it over and over again. And to the mention of like the Bowser's Fortress music, it is like this very like marching fascist boom boom.
Yeah.
Rah, boom, boom. Like it's both that to establish
these
Bowser's
are the bad guys.
bashiness.
Yeah.
And it's attuning your brain to the final fight where you're going to have to use that rhythm.
That's what I wanted to get to is that Bowser turns himself again into the stone like Andros kind of monster, like right. It's the head and the gloves. What are the gloves from Smash? Are they called Master Hand?
Master Hand, yeah.
Can you play as that?
I don't think so.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I've got Smash Ultimate, and you still cannot play as Master Hand.
So what was I getting at? So yeah, the fight with Bowser it relies on rhythm. Like you have to keep time to know when to jump because the platform gives you like a trampoline effect at the beat, and that in itself, I think like this is like bordering on edutainment for me.
yeah.
But in a good way, like
right.
where I'm like, this rocks. Like I love that it is making me count like in 4/4 or whatever it is, and like I don't even know what it was, but I just naturally found the rhythm. Like,
yeah, and they make it like this very obvious, simple 4-beat count. For people who don't have rhythm, like you can still, it's like visually and orally like very obvious what to do.
Yeah.
In a way that, like, you're right, it is like edutainment a little bit. Like you could use this for like music theory for a 6 or 7
exactly.
year old a little bit.
That's a valuable tool. Like anything that encourages kids to pay attention to like what makes the music that they love. I think I don't know. Speaking as like a writer and as a musician, like being involved in the arts at a young age was always like a huge like source of joy for me, because like it wasn't just I was consuming, I was also creating, and like that so many people don't appreciate that these days. Kids these days, they if they give this somehow like spurs them to be like, oh, like I want to, even if it is just like, oh, I'm like good at this game and now I have a sense of rhythm, but like if at any point they're like, oh, like I could play drums, or I could write music, or
or like with Mario Maker, like I could be a video game designer.
That's right. That's right.
Like there's this really just funny phenomenon that like anytime I hand my Switch to some kid in my life, like my partner's kid or a niece or nephew, they go like right to Mario Maker. They're like, I'm gonna make a level so hard that Josh can't beat it.
Yeah,
I can always beat it. But like,
of course you can.
They don't know anything about iframes, and they always give me a power up so I can just run through the hard part. But
what
anyway,
are iframes?
Invincibility frames.
Oh,
like
sure,
where after you get hit. So anyway, that's a little off topic. Okay, so I want to talk about this boss fight.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk about another rhythm level before we wrap here. So I just want to tell the story about when we finished the game together, me and the Chibis. So this is the first video game she's ever played all the way through.
Ooh,
and
nice.
beaten. And I don't think I told this on the podcast before, because I love the story and I tell it to people all the time now. But like, we'd been playing since February, and we just beat the game a couple months ago in like August or something, So we took our time, just played an hour or two on the weekend.
Sure. A healthy relationship with video games.
Yeah. And there was like, one Sunday that we sort of like marathon through the last several levels or whatever, and then we got to right to this last boss. And then I was like, pause, we need to make dinner. And we need to do all that, and we'll come back and we'll beat the game tonight. And like we made like an event out of it.
That's great.
And like I let her like bring snacks into the living room, turn all the lights out. She's like, I want mom to play too. And her mom doesn't play with us. She's got a few games, like very casual games that she'll play. And so her mom picks Yoshi. Remember, Yoshi cannot be hit.
Yeah. Good choice for someone who doesn't play that much.
Yeah, I don't think she knew that. She was like, I don't know,
right,
whatever.
But
yeah,
serendipitous.
But it was just very cute that she wanted her mom to experience it with us. So you have this boss fight. We're talking about like you got to do these time jumps, and she the kid she has very good rhythm. She's been doing this like drum class since she was 5 years old.
Sure.
So she got that part of it, but it's still like just the hand-eye coordination to get. And I'm just good enough at the game that I'm like, I'm not gonna die. I'm just dodging everything. And I was like, okay, this final thing, you got to jump up, and there's this button on Bowser's head that you have to hit by jumping in time with the things. So it's like identical on both sides of the screen. So me and the kid are on the right side of the screen, and I'm trying to like tell her when to jump and guide her up to do it. We're not paying attention at all to mom on the left side of the screen, who as Yoshi is just like on an end of the hands, getting hit. Who cares?
Yeah.
She doesn't really know what she's doing. And for like a minute or two, I'm like, me and the kid are like, okay, 1, 2, 3, jump. Okay, let's go. And we're like practicing and trying to get up there. And then out of nowhere, like it just ends because we weren't paying attention to the fact that her mom was working her way up and didn't know it was like the final hit of the game. And the kid just immediately starts bawling.
Oh man, that rocks. That
She's
rocks.
just like, It's just like crying through the entire credits and ending. And her mom and I are looking at each other going, I legitimately feel terrible because like I don't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was like, one, that it was the end of the game, and two, that it was that important to her. And also it's like really funny.
Yes, that's the main takeaway I have. That's very funny.
Oh my God. But it was really sad in its own way. So we I don't know. I don't remember how we calmed her down by like, I showed her the hardest level in the game. Like we just kept playing for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we came back and redid it. And,
and then she got to do it.
And let her do it, even though it's like, we all know, like, yeah, I could run up there and do it. It's just like, to an 8-year-old's mind, like the things that they decide are important are really fascinating. Yeah, so that was our experience of the final level, finishing Mario Wonder. I kind of wanted to go out on that story, but I do need to ask because we're talking about all the rhythm levels. Did you find the Ninja Party level?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's one of the best Mario levels ever made. So it introduces this concept of like jumping in time will impact the
ninja. There's those little ninja stars.
Yeah.
I never thought of the pun that is.
It's the best. So it's hidden in the desert world, and the way you find it is like you have to run, like you're running around in the sand. There's a lot of hidden levels in that world. Yeah.
Right, because the overworld itself is like, you know, you're going in between these different worlds in the Flower Kingdom, and it's kind of taking inspiration from Mario 3 in the sense that like the world is a game board, and you've got all these little, you know, tiles to navigate. Except it's more like, it's like Mario 3 meets the first Legend of Zelda in terms of like movement, where you're navigating the seamless world. Well, not seamless because there's like obvious like barriers and such, but it allows you to just I mean there's hidden level. I didn't know about this one.
Yeah, so
the Ninja Jump Party.
Yeah, if you run around the desert level, there's this like sand fall. It's like a waterfall of sand, and as you run closer to it, the overworld music changes to just this like thumping, like you're hearing a party from another room.
Cool.
And if you just keep running around in there, it'll just pop up that there's a level there. You cannot see it. And then you go in, and it's just these ninjas jumping up and down, singing and partying. And then the Wonder Flower just turns the level into an even bigger party where you have to get through the level by jumping on, I think it's the 4, like every time.
Yeah.
So like you'll hit certain puzzles where like you have to jump on 4, and there's all these visual and audio cues to teach you how to do it if you don't understand. So it's just a more fun, easy version of what like you saw in the last level, in the last boss fight. And it's so fun. It's just the extra little polish and detail Nintendo puts in that I'm like, yes, this is what I love about it. Especially, again, I'm going to double down for the demographic it's designed for, tweens and teens.
And that I'm so glad you brought that up again, because like I was thinking about like why Mario? Like, you know, Nintendo obviously has been using Mario as their flagship series since the 80s, and kids these days, like you've mentioned again that like anytime the Chibbis is like playing your Switch, they'll go toward a Mario game.
Oh my God,
it's always a Mario game. And like for our generation of people who grew up playing the original games when they were released, like it's because that was the game that was out.
Right.
Like that is why we played Mario, is because that's what we were like.
Turns out it was actually that good all along.
It was that good. But like these days, kids have so many options, and like Mario is just this like old legacy character now that is still getting the like AAA treatment that he rightfully deserves. And I was thinking about like how Nintendo has managed to keep this such an unassuming character hyper relevant to kids these days.
I mean, they've heightened it at this point. Like Mario is like a kid's character, like equivalent to
Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, like stuff like that. That it's just like, oh yeah, you have a kid. Mario is like a safe, healthy thing for them to glom onto.
Or Bugs Bunny, or like any of these like beloved characters who has an entire empire behind them.
It's a very conscious marketing choice, which is this is maybe a good thing to like start to end this discussion on is like, and this game proves that it's like it's still a good choice.
Yeah.
Whereas we're gonna watch the animated movie by the same people who make the Minions movies.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I think I have a little less of a strong opinion. I've seen it once before. I don't remember it super well, but my memory is like it's not quite the level of Mario Wonder in terms of like what I would say. Like I want my child, if they're gonna interface with screens and content and what this is what I want them doing.
Yeah,
but it's not that bad either. It's like it's not YouTube slop for sure.
Well,
like,
that kind of like sheds light on what the whole consternation of camp video games is like, why does this character work for this and why does it or does it not work for this other medium? Like why does Mario work as a video game character and why does he not maybe work so well as a television or movie character? And we'll get into that next week. But in terms of Mario and his whole rogues gallery of accompanying characters, like it still works in video games. Like that's what Super Mario Wonder really like solidified, is that like, nope, like, because like to be frank, like I have not played a Mario game in earnest since Mario 64. I didn't play Sunshine or Galaxy or any of the like other like I haven't played. I have Odyssey, but I have not played it yet. And like I'm just like I've always felt like my loyalties with the Nintendo like canon has always been more like interested in Zelda and Hyrule, and like that's what really captured my imagination as a kid and like held my attention as an adult gamer was like the Breath of the Wild reintroduction of like, hey, like let's take Zelda seriously for a second and like let's talk. I mean, again, we've got something like 30 episodes of us talking about Zelda, so not to go into that again. But patreon.com/camp video games, we have 13 whole episodes of commentary for every single Legend of Zelda cartoon episode. We did that on purpose. We did that on purpose. But with the Mario, like play with the Mario games, like playing this one, I was like, oh, okay, Nintendo, you still got it, and like you're the kings of this industry for a reason, and you haven't lost it. It was not lightning in a bottle. They have just continued to refine and to like, I mean, I don't know what to expect from the next 2D Mario game.
I really don't.
I don't know if that's gonna
or like the next Mario Maker.
If we're gonna have enough like ozone layer for another Mario game to come out, like I don't know if this is it. If we're just like ending it on a bang, like I think if this was the last Mario game I ever played, I would be like, damn, dude, Mario rocks.
Yeah.
Like if this was the first Mario game I play, I'd be like, oh wow, are they all this good? I'd be like, well, not in the same ways.
Yeah.
But this just it's like in terms of a legacy series, like this game does not require you to have played any other Mario games. It's a great first introduction to the series. Kids are not going to get bored playing this like they might with the first one.
Right. Yeah, like I was saying, I took an 8-year-old all the way through the game without ever learning how to Y jump, Like, there's still so much she could come back to this game and experience on her own if she ever wanted to.
Yeah.
And yeah, like this proliferation of Mario's, like we have Mario theme parks. And like she came into the game never having played a Mario, but like she'd seen the Mario movie a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it's like just by the nature of being on the YouTube Kids algorithm, she has this obsession with Mario. It's just this is that generation's character is this guy that's just held over for over 40 years now.
Absolutely wild.
It's really weird. It's like their Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, that's the most obvious.
Like,
yeah, I am glad that this game was good. Like it's just for Nintendo's sake, as a person who is going to continue to buy Nintendo merchandise, like I was very happy to see that this game lived up to its expectations, which is why it might come to your surprise that I actually returned this game after I finished it, because I don't see myself playing it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh guys, little tip, Camp Video Games tip. If you buy used merchandise from GameStop, 7-day returns, no questions asked. And this is a game that you can definitely beat in 7 days. And yeah, I did. I did it. And the employee was even like, oh, like everyone loves this game. Why are you returning it? And I didn't want to say, well, because I really only bought it for my video game podcast, and I beat it, and I'm not going to play it again. Because I think I'm always down to play more platform games in general, but it's not my go-to game type.
Right.
I don't think I'd get much more out of this game personally through replays besides like joy, but I don't need that.
Oh, I mean,
I'll
just say same for me, but I 100%ed it. I don't 100% video games anymore.
That's right.
This is the first time I've done that in maybe decades.
Yeah.
But it's the time investment to do that was not as heavy as the types of games I typically like to sit with, which are 30, 40, 50 hour like Japanese role-playing games, where 100%ing those takes 200 hours.
Right.
You
You got to treat that like a job.
Those I like to just experience the story as if I were reading a book and then put it down.
Yeah.
But that being said, now that I've 100%ed this, I don't have a reason to revisit it unless I'm introducing it to like a young person in my life again.
Sure.
Like I've done 3 or 4 times.
Hey
now.
man, that's why they invented video games.
So yeah, if we have another kid, maybe I'll replay it in 9 or 10 years or whatever. Like,
would you like, I mean, for family planning stuff, like, would you introduce Mario to a kid with this game? Would this be the first one for them?
That's a really good question. Like, because the thing that you run into with kids is, even though an older game might be more accessible in terms of gameplay because there's just less going on,
not as many inputs. There's I mean, going back to Super Mario Wonder, like for me there was a little too many options for movement.
Right.
In a way, I got overwhelmed. But go ahead.
No, that's kind of exactly what I'm getting at. Is like accessibility of gameplay, because there's so much less in an older game is there. But there's just something about modern graphics that is like their attention is just not held by anything from previous generations.
Yeah. Well, it's like how our generation has like, be like, I don't watch black and white movies. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I sure.
If I was a kid, I'd probably feel that way, But like,
a lot of people our age are just like, I didn't watch that. That's black and white. Why would I watch a black and white movie?
Yeah, I'm.
There's TikTok.
I guess I am a derivation from the mean of like, I want the slowest, like least stimulating thing for my entertainment these days. I watch a lot of like slow black and white whatever old movies on Criterion now. Like if I'm going to sit down and watch something on TV, it's usually something like that. I'm like, I've got enough just like in my face stimulation from being on screens all day.
Absolutely.
If I'm going to spend more time on it, anyway.
Any palate cleansers you've been playing outside of Super Mario Wonder?
Yeah, that was exactly what I was gonna jump to with that note. Dude, I'm still as we record this in mid-November, I am very grateful for the 70 some hours that I've been putting into Metaphor Refantasio. Yeah. It's basically a game about an election. And it's a lot different than the way ours went. I mean, I think I already talked about it the last couple episodes. Like, it's the way it handles politics and like hope.
Yeah.
Is just so refreshing in that like it does this like very like A to C, like I'm talking about this thing, but I'm not talking about it in a way that like when people complain about wokeness in video games, like there is bad representation in games where it's like, yeah, you really ham-fisted this in there. So it's still really great for that. And I'm very close to the end, so I'll have something new to talk about in a week or two.
Yeah.
What about you?
I've actually just been instead of playing video games, I've been reading a book.
What?
I've been working through the Pulitzer Prize winning Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. It's a Western novel. It's the Western novel that people say if you read one Western novel, read Lonesome Dove, and I wholeheartedly agree. I have not been stirred to tears from a book in a very long time, but this book did it for me, and it has been a very nice change of pace. But I know it's not a video game, so
when was it published?
In the 80s.
Okay.
I think 87.
So it's contemporary to like a Cormac McCarthy type thing.
You know, the only McCarthy I read was The Road, which was very sad, but you know, I wouldn't compare the two, honestly.
Right. They're not, it's not quite dark, brooding, everything's horrible.
There are well, like what I think the reason that like this novel won a Pulitzer is that it kind of it's this amazing dissection of just like the human experience in a way that like gives every different shade of experience a chance. Like you can read this and be like, man, the world's a beautiful place, and there's like, you know, there's things to like look forward to, but you can also read this book and go, there are horrors that are like to be reckoned with. And it's just so incredibly effective. And I know I'm talking about like a 40-year-old book, but like that's what I've been doing.
We've been talking about a 40-year-old character for an hour.
Yeah,
so.
Good point. Yeah. So I wish there was a video game adaptation of Lonesome Dove, but I don't think that'll happen. Although there might have been some. If we ever wanted to talk about Red Dead Redemption, we'd probably just talk about some different Western movies. But the fun fact, if you want to watch Lonesome Dove, it's on YouTube for free. They made a film adaptation or a TV miniseries starring Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones as the two main characters. And boy, howdy. I actually just learned that Larry McMurtry, the author of this book, he co-authored Brokeback Mountain. So that I was like, oh, okay.
Nice.
So the homosexual subtext of these two cowboys was actually kind of, I was like, oh, that makes sense
now. Yeah. So
platonic partners, I'll say.
That's a good palate cleanser. I don't know. We haven't decided what we're gonna do next.
Nope,
so
we'll talk about it later.
It is what it is.
Yep. Thanks, campers. Well, next week we're gonna talk about the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh yeah,
from 2023, and then something else here at Camp Video Games.
Do you want to tell us what you liked about Mario Wonder? We just talked about it for a long time. Can I ask you what your favorite part was? Do you want to tell the microphone?
Probably the dragon.
What's your favorite character to play as?
Princess Peach.
And do you remember what happened when we got to the last level?
Mom got the button.
Were you mad?
Yes.
Tell me more about it.
Well, I wanted to get a button.
Did we do it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do it first.
What was the hardest part of the game?
The last level. Probably the world that you get. But this hippo up here, I think that hippo's silly.
Oh, this is a very important question. What did you think about the flowers that talk?
Oh, I like those flowers.
I
They're
do too.
Silly.
Did you like this game more than you liked the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Ooh, this is a very good question. The movie or the game? Which was better?
Probably the game because I get to decide more.
Ooh, thank you for saying that.
Oh, that's a really good answer.
Oh,
this is very important for
I got a dopamine rush.
Anything else you want to say about Mario Wonder?
I like being the drill.
Oh yeah, the drill attachment. That is a cool part.
We talked for like an hour when you mentioned the drill power. Wait, but now that you've been playing some games, what's your favorite one that we've played so far?
Mario Wonder.
A+. If it got a grade like in school, what grade would you give it?
A 1,000 plus.
Whoa, that's a lot of pluses.
There you go, folks.
You heard it.
You don't
here.
get any more accurate a review than from the target demographic.
That's right.
That's it.
Thanks, camper.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.